I'm going to tell you what I really think of Donald Trump. This man is a pathological liar. He doesn't know the difference between truth and lies. He lies practically every word that comes out of his mouth. And in a pattern that I think is straight out of a psychology textbook, his response is to accuse everybody else of lying. He accuses everybody on that debate stage of lying. And it's simply a mindless yell. Whatever he does, he accuses everyone else of doing. The man cannot tell the truth, but he combines it with being a narcissist. A narcissist at a level I don't think this country's ever seen. I'm going to tell you what I really think of Donald Trump.
People, welcome back. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed your break, Christmas, and New Year's. Now that that's over, time to get back onto it. So the assault on racism and white supremacists will continue in full effect. 2020 was the warm-up. Now we're about to really step it up into this year. So before I go any further, I just want to say thanks to the average white folks of America. There's been a lot of news about African Americans and their role in helping getting Biden elected. And all that is true. But simply, to be honest with you, there's not enough numbers there. The reason why we are going to have a new president who is not so obviously white supremacist is because of the average, ordinary white folks in this country. Like, throughout all times in history, have said, enough is enough. That's just where the numbers are. There's a reason why Barack Obama got elected president. It wasn't because of the brown people. There's just not enough numbers. It was ordinary, decent people who, in this country, which is predominantly people of European descent, said, okay, it's time to move forward. We need to have something else. So I want to say thank you guys. Man, it was looking kind of dark there for a second. It really had me worried. It's like, man, being in America, man, as a brown person, it's like you're like along for this ride. It's kind of like somebody's driving the car and you're in the back seat. And, you know, somebody decides, oh, I want to go down this side street. And they're like, you're going. Like, you really have no choice. Thank you. I'm glad you guys got this back on track. And it reminded me of something because I have a lot of experience with people of different cultures. European, Jamaican, Puerto Rican. I'll just say I grew up in a very diverse neighborhood. And I probably had a few decades of experience of talking to people about racism and white supremacy. I think racism is a term that's being overused in these days. I think a better term is prejudice. I mean, racism implies a system that's in place where, you know, that can be applied toward like systems, but people I don't think are generally racist. I think people are prejudiced. They prejudge people or situations based upon their own history. So being from a different culture, I've kind of developed a unique perspective, I think, when it comes to talking to white Americans about racism, because no one thinks they're prejudiced or a racist. No one thinks they are, because I think people have this idea that a racist or a prejudiced person is some foaming at the mouth person with a sign and a KKK hood on and everything else and swastikas and stuff like that. And I'm here to tell you that that is not the case. That is very much not the case. My experience is that it's very much a spectrum, starting, I guess, from, here, which would be the conservative, prejudiced, racist people, going all the way to here, which is the extreme. On this spectrum, on this side, you got the guys. This is a guy who somebody might send them an email joke about homosexuals, Asians, blacks, whatever. And, they'll probably laugh at it. They're probably not going to forward it. Or they're not going to be the one who's sending the email joke, right? That's on that end. In the middle of that spectrum, this is the guy who's like actually sending that joke. He thinks it's funny. He's definitely about it. He really thinks that, people are different, just inherent, based upon pigmentation or sexual orientation or whatever, right? But that's not a guy. I mean, he's not going to be the one who's like attending a Klan rally or something, or, marching with the Proud Boys or something. And then at this end, you have the actual person who is at the Klan rally marching with the Proud Boys and stuff like that. They're fully about it all the way. Most of the people I've come in contact with are on this end of that prejudice spectrum. You know, they're going to send the email jokes. They may laugh, you know, when they're having a beer or something. You know, they may have a little joke or something, and they'll say, yeah, stop being so sensitive. Stop being so sensitive. That's where probably, I'd say 80% of the people I've dealt with are there. But, I mean, that's dangerous because these are the people, these are the numbers. This is the people that help people who are very much white supremacists and racists stay in power. That's the voting numbers. That's the block there. So if you're on that scale, you're part of the problem. So let me give you an example from my own life about how it is I knew the type of person I was. I remember very specifically, I was a senior in high school, and we had a lot of Asian people in our high school, people from Vietnam mainly, because as what happens, we fight these wars, and then the refugees come over, right? Nowadays, it'll be people from Afghanistan and Iran or something, right? And I remember I was sitting with some friends of mine. There were some people over there, and I remember one of the guys said, "Look at those gooks. I can't stand them." Now, this was somebody I had hung out with before, like a lot. And I still remember it like it was yesterday. I remember looking in horror, like, wait, what? What did you just say? Like, is that what you really think? And then at that moment, that's when I realized that, I mean, that just wasn't me. That just wasn't me. And again, I mean, I think everyone has a moment in their life where they realize, wait, like, that's not me. You see what I'm saying? I try not to even be on that scale, very much so in my own life, where I got friends and family, you know, that they have strong opinions about homosexuality. They have strong opinions about all type of ethnicities. I'm constantly trying to tell them, hey, look. Let's judge everyone individually, not just group people together because it makes it convenient. So I say all that to say 2021 is going to be a good year. We just getting started. This ain't going to stop. I mean, this ain't going to stop now. Now, like I said, thanks to Trump, we know who the obvious prejudiced white supremacists are. We can go ahead and continue the attack and basically expose these people. But before I go, I want to share this poem from my man Charles T. Dale. And this poem is titled, "Oh Really?" Parentheses, I'm really not a racist.
I'm really not a racist, but all lives matter, see? I'm really not a racist because I won't drink Yorkshire tea. I'm really not a racist, they look better down a gym. I'm really not a racist, but it's well known they can't swim. I'm really not a racist, do we have to make amends? I'm really not a racist, I've got loads of coloured friends. I'm really not a racist, no, I think this country's fair. I'm really not a racist, oh, can I touch your hair? I'm really not a racist, but you're not our type ideally. I'm really not a racist, but where'd you come from, really? I'm really not a racist, on the phone you don't sound black. I'm really not a racist, ever thought of going back? I'm really not a racist, must be cold for you outdoors. I'm really not a racist, that's a nice car, is it yours? I'm really not a racist, come on, can't you take a joke? I'm really not a racist, can you get me any coke? I'm really not a racist. Nah, you got me wrong by miles. I'm really not a racist. Love them watermelon smiles. I'm really not a racist. I'm blessed you get me, fam. I'm really not a racist. Oh, fucking hell. I am.